Hello and welcome to a series of short videos regarding simulations, and particularly the Intopia simulation, which you'll be running in one of your courses upcoming in the next couple of weeks. Okay, these videos are prepared so that you can get ready to run the simulation. There's a lot to learn about the Intopia simulation, but in this first session what we want to talk about is why we do a simulation, how the simulation works in your classroom, and how to get started or prepare for the Intopia simulation game. Okay? If you're running a simulation in your course, it's likely a capstone course, so either in a marketing strategy or business strategy class. Okay? The reason we do simulations is because it encompasses many of the concepts that you learn in your business course, but more importantly, it focuses on implementation and objective feedback. So while you may have done cases in other courses, simulation is a much richer format because it gives you feedback immediately, and it does also focus on that implementation aspect. Also, you'll find that the simulation is dynamic and interactive in that you'll interact with other teams in the game, you'll be making decisions that affect those teams, and you'll be relying on them in the course of the simulation to help you with your particular company. Okay? You'll find that the Intopia simulation is rich in that it integrates all of the functional areas you're typically associated with business. We'll find aspects of marketing such as pricing and selling, operations such as production, accounting and finance such as intercompany transfers of money and capital, lending, human resources and organizational behavior, in that you will likely be doing this with a team, meaning you'll have to manage some of your teammates and get along with them throughout the process. And more importantly, general management, so defining a strategy, determining what your competitive advantage is going to be, and then proceeding along in that respect. Okay. The Intopia game was developed back in the early 90s by a fellow at Indiana University by the name of Dr. Hans Sorelli. He has since passed on. The game has been run in several different countries. At one point it was run in 63 universities around the world. Right now it's currently run at the University of Ottawa, Memorial University, several places in Europe, and in Israel. Okay. How it works is typically there's a student team made up of about 4 or 5 individuals that decide how they're going to operate, how they're going to organize their company. And then there's a decision input program. This decision input program is web-based, so you can do this particular program on your smartphone, on a tablet, on a computer, however you like. You can do it PC-based or Mac-based. So the company will input their decision using this web-based program and then submit it to the simulation administrator. The simulation administrator will download all of the decisions made by the team at a particular time and then run these through the master program. The master program generates company results and market information. This comes in the form of an Excel output, which is emailed to the student teams for them to review. And this cycle continues for however many decisions there are in the simulation game. Typically, this is about an 8 to 10 period run of a simulation. Okay. In order to get started and prepare for the Intopia game, there's a lot to learn. So there's a number of resources that are made available for you. First of all, there's a game manual, which is in PDF format, which is available on the website. And this outlines a lot of the major parameters in the game and the way it works. Okay. There's a decision website that's available that allows you to go in and make the decisions and manipulate the variables. This is where, as a company, you would go in and produce product or set prices or transfer product to another team or open plants, that sort of thing. There's also a manual associated with the decision website so that you can look and see how that works. Okay, and what you're watching now, of course, is a series of online instructional videos. There's several of these that walk you through some of the more important decisions in the Intopia game. We'll also be exposed to a number of practice decisions. Typically, I do 2 phases of practice decisions, one which is fairly structured and one which is a little more loose, allowing you to learn how the game works. Okay? So really, phase 1 is the structured decisions. Phase 2, getting prepared, is what we call the marketing test or test marketing phase. And then in phase 3, you do the real game where you actually compete against other teams in the market. Okay, the structured decisions, really the objective there is to learn what the basic decisions are and figure out what the impact is on the firm output. In a later video, you'll have a look at what the output looks like. It's your typical financial statements, income statements, and balance sheets, but there's also some other things that like inventory and production reports, which outline exactly what you did and what the effect was on. Okay, so the process of these structured decisions is to do 4 or 5 periods of prescribed decisions. In other words, I'll give you a list of what decisions to make, and you'll do them and see what those the impact is on the output. We'll also give you a base team where all the decisions have been made correctly, so you can compare your team's output with that base team to make sure that everything that you've done is correct. Okay? And through that phase, you'll be given the opportunity to correct your inputs so that they match with this base team. Okay? In the second phase is the test marketing phase. So again, you'll do 4 or 5 periods of sequential decisions. You'll start at period 1, and you can make whatever decisions you want to try and test the assumptions of the game. You may even wish to initially try a strategy. Okay, so in other words, if you're going to decide to produce one of the components in the game, you may wish to open a plant for that particular component product, produce a little bit, see how much they cost, and then maybe try selling that component on the open market or to other teams. Okay, you'll probably have a little bit of limited capital to play with, and you may be provided with some initial inventory or plants in order to speed things up. Okay, the important part of this test marketing strategy is to learn really what the market's all about. So you can get an idea of what the market size is and perhaps even try and figure out what other teams are doing in the game. Okay, anything that you do during that period, of course, doesn't carry over to the real game. Once we get to the real game, you'll start from scratch. Okay. Once the real game starts, you'll all be provided with some initial starting capital. In some cases, every team may receive the same thing, or there may be some variation in the starting capital based on something like an initial public offering or IPO. Really, that depends on the course. Okay. In the real game, you're free to do whatever you want. This is your company. Take ownership of it. You can decide which markets to go into, which products to produce. If you decide to produce, you might decide to be a wholesaler. Really, there's a whole bunch of different strategies that you can do. You'll be starting again at period 1 and proceeding likely through 8 to 10 decisions. You can treat each decision as a year if you like. The keys to success, I've been running this game for almost 20 years now, and have seen a lot in this game. And we find that the teams that do the best are the ones that take the practice round seriously and learn a lot about it. Get started early, read the manuals, go through these videos, and make sure that you know exactly what's going on. It's important that you build up a strong base of really the procedural knowledge to run this simulation. Okay? Knowledge is a very, very strong predictor of success. I find that the teams that are the most prepared are the ones that tend to do well. Test your strategy. Make sure you know what you're doing before you do it. If you decide that you're going to be an R&D specialist throughout the game, it's a good idea that you figure out exactly what the R&D component is in this game, how to license, and that sort of thing. Okay? Okay, and that concludes this video on why we do simulations. There's another series of videos covering the other aspects of the game to follow.